Imagine a young boy in a turbulent land, dreaming of rockets piercing the stars and cars that could change the world. A boy who taught himself coding from old manuals, sold his first video game at 12 for $500, endured bullying that nearly broke his spirit yet rose to command industries worth trillions and become the richest person alive. Today we dive deep into the extraordinary rise of Elon Musk, the visionary whose companies have redefined electric vehicles, space travel, payments, artificial intelligence, and more. From his roots in South Africa, through relentless innovation and high-stakes gambles, this is the full story packed with facts of how a determined mind conquered seemingly impossible odds to amass unprecedented wealth and impact. Elon Reeve Musk was born on 28 June 1971 in Pretoria, South Africa, to Mai Musk, a Canadian-born model and dietitian, and Errol Musk, a South African electromechanical engineer, pilot, and property developer who held interests including a share in an emerald mine. The family was affluent during his early years, providing resources that fueled his curiosity, though life grew complicated after his parents' divorce when he was 10. Elon, along with siblings Kimball and Tosca, navigated a household where intellectual pursuits were encouraged. Young Elon devoured books at an astonishing rate, sometimes 2 books a day, immersing himself in science fiction like Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, which instilled a lifelong passion for advancing humanity as a multi-planetary species. He displayed an early talent for computers, teaching himself programming from manuals, and at age 12 created the video game Blaster, a space-themed shooter that he sold to a South African computer magazine for $500, marking his first entrepreneurial success. School life was far from easy. Elon attended Waterkloof House Preparatory School, Bryanston High, and graduated from Pretoria Boys High School. He was a decent but not exceptional student academically, earning solid marks yet standing out more for his introverted, bookish nature. He faced severe bullying, including an incident that left him hospitalized, but responded by learning karate and wrestling to defend himself. Philosophically opposed to apartheid and compulsory military service, at 17 he left South Africa in 1988 for Canada, leveraging his mother's Canadian citizenship. He arrived with little money, worked odd jobs like cleaning grain elevators and lumber mills, and enrolled at Queen's University in Ontario before transferring to the University of Pennsylvania, where he earned dual bachelor's degrees in physics and economics in 1997. These formative years built resilience, technical knowledge, and a drive to solve humanity's biggest problems through technology. In 1995, fresh out of university, with his brother Kimball, Elon co-founded Zip2, a pioneering online city guide and business directory service providing maps and directories to newspapers in the early days of the Internet. They started with modest funding, including $28,000 from their father, and lived frugally. Elon often slept in the office and showered at the YMCA. The company grew rapidly as the web exploded, securing deals with major publishers. In 1999, Compaq acquired Zip2 for $307 million in cash and stock. Elon, as a major shareholder, walked away with approximately $22 million. This windfall didn't lead to luxury. Instead, he poured $12 million into his next venture, X.com, an online financial services and payments company launched in 1999. X.com merged in 2000 with Confinity, the creators of a money transfer service called PayPal. The combined entity focused on secure online payments, revolutionizing e-commerce especially for platforms like eBay. Early days were chaotic. Elon was ousted as CEO during his honeymoon but remained involved. PayPal survived the dot-com bust, emphasizing fraud detection and user growth. In 2002, eBay acquired PayPal for $1.5 billion in stock. As the largest shareholder, Elon received about $176 million after taxes. This fortune became the rocket fuel for his bolder ambitions, sustainable energy and space exploration. He became a US citizen that same year and set his sights on Mars. In 2002, Elon founded SpaceX, Space Exploration Technologies Corp. With the audacious goal of reducing space transportation costs and enabling human settlement on Mars. He invested $100 million of his own money. The early years were brutal. The first 3 Falcon 1 rocket launches failed spectacularly. Employees worked insane hours, and bankruptcy loomed. The 4th launch in 2008 succeeded, making SpaceX the first privately funded company to reach orbit. NASA contracts followed, including a landmark commercial resupply services deal. The Falcon 9 became reusable, with historic booster landings starting in 2015, slashing launch costs dramatically. By the mid-2020s, SpaceX dominated with Starlink satellite internet, Starship development for deep space, and crewed missions to the ISS. Facts show SpaceX valuations soared into hundreds of billions, contributing massively to Elon's wealth. Parallel to SpaceX, in 2004 Elon invested $6.5 million in Tesla Motors, then a struggling startup aiming for electric sports cars. He became chairman and later CEO in 2008 amid the financial crisis. Tesla faced near-death experiences multiple times, with production hell for the Model S and Roadster. Elon poured in personal funds, splitting resources between Tesla and SpaceX during the 2008 crisis when he was nearly broke. The Model 3 ramp-up in the late 2010s scaled electric vehicle adoption globally, with over 1 million units sold of popular models. Tesla pioneered over-the-air updates, autopilot, and gigafactories. By the 2020s, Tesla's market cap exceeded $1 trillion at peaks, making Elon the world's richest person with net worth figures crossing hundreds of billions, driven largely by equity in Tesla and SpaceX. Continuing seamlessly for full length in delivery. Detailed accounts of specific rocket failures and recoveries, Tesla factory challenges with exact production numbers over years, regulatory battles, battery tech breakthroughs, SolarCity acquisition, Neuralink founding in 2016 with brain-machine interfaces, The Boring Company for urban tunneling, acquisition of Twitter now X in 2022 for $44 billion, XAI launch, government roles like Doge, family life with multiple children, quotes on first principles thinking, working 80 to 1. 120 hours weekly, views on AI risks and multi-planetary future, detailed financial milestones showing net worth growth from under 10 billion pre-2020 to peaks over 500 billion, technical specs of vehicles and rockets, impact on industries with market share stats, personal anecdotes of risk-taking. Picking up from the breakthroughs that propelled his empire, Elon Musk's journey continued with relentless execution across multiple fronts, turning science fiction into engineering reality while navigating controversies, market volatility, and global impact. With Tesla accelerating electric mobility and SpaceX proving reusable rocketry, his influence expanded into artificial intelligence, neuroscience, infrastructure, and social media, amassing a fortune that positioned him as the world's wealthiest individual through ownership stakes valued in the hundreds of billions. Tesla's growth exploded with the Shanghai Gigafactory, Berlin, and others producing millions of vehicles annually, pushing global EV adoption and forcing legacy automakers to pivot. Energy products like Powerwall and Megapack scaled storage solutions. Autonomy efforts with full self-driving software collected vast real-world data miles, aiming for robotaxis. SpaceX achieved over 300 successful Falcon landings, deployed thousands of Starlink satellites providing internet to remote areas including disaster zones and Ukraine, and advanced Starship as the most powerful rocket ever built for lunar and Martian missions. NASA and private contracts poured in, with Crew Dragon becoming the primary U.S. crew vehicle to orbit. In 2016, Elon co-founded Neuralink to develop brain-computer interfaces, starting with animal trials and progressing to human implants by the mid-2020s, restoring capabilities for patients with paralysis. The Boring Company tackled traffic with underground loops and Vegas Convention Center loop operational. He acquired Twitter in 2022, rebranding to X as an everything app, implementing changes in content moderation, payments ambitions, and free speech focus amid advertiser shifts and valuation adjustments. XAI, launched to understand the universe, developed growth models competing in AI. Involvement in U.S. policy via Department of Government Efficiency highlighted his push for efficiency and innovation in governance. Throughout, Elon's philosophy centered on first principles. Breaking problems to fundamentals and rebuilding. He famously said, "When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor," reflecting decisions like betting his fortune repeatedly. Net worth timelines show dramatic swings, around $24 billion in 2020, surging past $150 billion in 2021 with Tesla stock, peaking at records over $500 billion later driven by company valuations. Facts underscore ownership. Significant Tesla shares plus options, nearly 40% in SpaceX, stakes in X and XAI. Challenges included production ramps where Model 3 output went from hundreds to thousands weekly, supply chain crisis, short seller battles, and personal toll of intense work schedules. His family expanded with multiple children across relationships, including twins and triplets via IVF, emphasizing population concerns. Mother Maya's modeling career and independence inspired, while his complex relationship with his father contrasted his drive. Elon read extensively on physics, engineering, and history, applying knowledge across domains. SpaceX's reusability cut costs from tens of millions to fractions, enabling Starlink's global constellation. Tesla's energy business grew to gigawatt-hour scale. Controversies around tweets, politics, and management style tested resilience, yet companies achieved milestones like highest EV sales in periods, orbital tourism, and AI advancements. The rise embodies turning personal risks into planetary progress, from a South African boy coding in isolation to leading humanity toward sustainable energy and multiplanetary status. With ongoing Starship tests, Optimus humanoid robots, and Dojo supercomputers, the story evolves daily. Elon's impact includes inspiring millions in STEM, accelerating climate tech, and proving bold engineering scales. His wealth, largely paper-tied to innovation, reflects market belief in his vision. As he notes, ordinary people can choose extraordinary paths through relentless focus. This narrative of facts, from early coding sale, zip to exit, PayPal fortune reinvested fully, rocket explosions to landings, EV market disruption, brain chips, and beyond, illustrates one of history's most extraordinary ascents, driven by curiosity, execution, and audacity to tackle existential challenges. The boy who dreamed big became the man shaping our future, proving determination and first principles thinking can elevate anyone to world-changing heights.